films that come out of India are completely unique to our culture. They don't try to be like anybody else.
Hi there, I am Pratikshya Mishra, and you're listening to Do I Like It, a Quint production where we review anything and everything under the sun. And today I'm going to tell you if I liked The Romantics. Before I tell you about all of that, let's give you some context about me as a person. I'm not a documentary fan, and it's interesting. I don't really necessarily enjoy watching log documentaries, but I also like making documentaries, and I also love Bollywood cinema. Most of my childhood was just me roaming around the house going Chandni, oh meri Chandni, or like ten or like oh DDLJ ke gaane. Hum Aapke Hain Kaun is one of my favorite films. So yeah, as like you can see, my idea of cinema has a bit of a Yash Raj twist to it, and so does The Romantics. The Romantics, created by Smriti Mundhra, is essentially an ode to YRF and its legacy. So how Yash Chopra used to make films, how Aditya Chopra used to make films, what became of Uday Chopra's career. And yeah, that's what we talk about. But the journey that it takes is so beautiful. We see their careers from the beginning, when Yash Chopra was making like political and religious commentary in his films during the emergency, to how Aditya Chopra made a film during 2611, which was, you guessed it, I don't know if you guessed it, but Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi. And you see the difference between realism and escapism, and how the sheer versatility of YRF films, it all shown in this docu-series amazingly well. Music is used so well. एक तो ठीक है चलो, मतलब एक तो उनके पास advantage भी है. First of all, the access they have to the actors, but secondly also the access they have to the music. Come on, those soundtracks, सिलसिला का soundtrack, चांदनी again, हम आपके हैं कौन, DDLJ, like Veer Zara, there is just, the music is brilliant. And ये सब सुन के दिल पे तो लगेगा ही ना यार, मतलब अब no matter how old I am, if I hear पहला प्यार है, I'm going to be like, ठीक है यार, कौन बजा रहा है, किधर बजा रहे हैं, right? And that's the magic, I think, less of YRF and just of Indian cinema. And that is what The Romantics is essentially about. Even as a docu-series, it's more a love letter. It's a love letter to Indian cinema. It's a love letter to, say, Yash Chopra's legacy. It is a love letter to the audience, to the Indian audience, because in the series you see how audience and audience perception can make or break a film. I think I have seen my parents watch Lamhe multiple times, and I have seen a lot of people I know, mostly my parents' age, who do watch Lamhe. I walk into like my Masi's house and Lamhe is playing sometimes. But we see why Lamhe wasn't a box office hit is because the audience did not perceive it the way that maybe it was meant to be perceived, or maybe, that's probably it. Like, that's it. And even Aditya Chopra says that, if you had removed this part of the film, I think it would have been a success. So you see how Yash Chopra's vision and Aditya Chopra's almost clairvoyant kind of intuition worked into making their brand of cinema what it is today. And there's something so fascinating about listening to Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol talk about DDLJ, listening to then Lily Singh, an NRI technically, talk about DDLJ as an audience. And at the same time, here Aditya Chopra or Yash Chopra talk about DDLJ. And just one film, there are so many people talking about it. You get to see all aspects of it. And this kind of BTSification, as in the behind-the-scenes-ification of cinema, I think holds huge power for any viewer, especially since Bollywood, and if you live in India, somehow, some or the other way, one way or another, One Direction reference, one way or another, Bollywood or Indian cinema is going to permeate your existence. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता कि आप इंडिया में रहते हो और आपने बॉलीवुड का नाम ना सुना हो, या कोई एक मूवी ना देखी हो, या पोस्टर ना देखा हो, या आपको ये ना पता हो कि अमिताभ बच्चन और शाहरुख खान के घर के बाहर रोज लोगों की लाइन लग जाती है बस एक झलक के लिए, है ना? That's the power of Indian cinema. So to see how all of this is made, the people behind the scenes is just frankly, like, I have goosebumps right now when I saw scenes from Diwar that I haven't seen in a while, scenes from Chak De India. You just kind of feel this sense of belonging. It's because that's the thing, right? Bollywood or Indian cinema has always been deeply rooted in Indianness. It's always been about the people. And especially, I think films made by YRF, made by Yash Chopra, Aditya Chopra, have always been about love. They've always been about emotion. Sure, they have action films like the Dhoom franchise is there, right? There's experimental cinema as well. And But like, what do you know YRF for? Like Suraj Barjatia we know for family films, and like in the same way we know YRF for romance, for just the most beautiful romance that that decade had to offer. Sure, some of the films haven't aged well, understandably, but for that time, I still think that it was the cinema was progressive for its time. You know, they were trying to do something new. They were seeing that the audience was changing and they were trying to match the audience's expectations. And that really is the mark of a good filmmaker, in my opinion. But before I dive into it more, I want to tell you that you can check out our other episodes from this series as well as other podcasts from the Quint on our website or wherever you get your podcasts from. Let's continue about the romantics. What a great idea to release this on Valentine's Day. Like, you know, if you're single, if you're coupled up, if you're, I don't know, if you want to treat yourself or you want to sit down with a few friends and watch this. And I think some of my friends are planning like screeners in their house, in the sense they're just going to play it on their walls using their projectors and watch it together. And that's the thing, that's the power of Indian cinema. It brings everyone together, and it's so wonderful to see how we went from the angry young man to the chocolate boy hero to the women-led films to, you know, like all the changes in Bollywood. You see that happen through romantics. And there's also a part of where, like, okay, Steven Spielberg has escapist cinema, right? And if you watch The Fabelmans, you kind of see why his cinema has escapism. You know, you see how his life, because, okay, Fabelmans is semi-autobiographical. So leaving the semi aside, I feel like the autobiography might have some merit, you know, made by the man himself. So if you can kind of trace why Steven Spielberg's cinema is so escapist, you can see how throughout the film, the main character uses cinema to escape the reality of his situations till he's ready to deal with them. That also happens with YRF films. A lot of YRF films are escapist cinema. And in the romantics, you see how that happens and you see why that's successful, or when and how they've used their films to essentially catch the pulse of the Indian audience. And ये सब देख के आपको बहुत 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 मजा आएगा. I'm not giving you any spoilers, but oh my god, they got Aditya Chopra on camera, dude. Like that's a lot in itself, because there's that whole rumor where people aren't sure if he exists or not. I mean, I'm kidding. Of course he exists. We've seen pictures. Very few, but I've seen pictures. But yeah, even Abhishek Bachchan had joked in that one press show that, hey, we don't know if this Chopra is real or not. He's not real. It's a PR stunt. But yeah, it's nice. It's great to see kind of Aditya Chopra open up about his career and how his upbringing and how he came to do films. We see how their filmmaking is so different, father and son, right? मतलब यश चोपड़ा का स्टेपल था कि वो शिफॉन की साड़ी पहनाएंगे, और वो क्यों पहनाते थे, and why Aditya Chopra decided no chiffon, you know, we'll use a different fabric. Even something as minute as that, as tiny detail as that, is incredible to see in this show. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Plus, look at the people they've interviewed, man. Shah Rukh Khan से लेकर अमिताभ बच्चन, भूमि पेडनेकर, रणवीर सिंह, और मतलब रानी मुखर्जी, काजोल, जूही चावला, कौन नहीं है इसमें. और यार, it's the things that comes from great access, and it's amazing to watch these people recount like अपने टाइम की बातें, like अपना anecdotes वगैरह, and it's great. I could go on and on about the romantics. I had goosebumps while watching it. I was so excited when Chandni came on screen. I was like, I think it's just magical. Indian cinema is magical, and even when you put it in documentary, you kind of succeed. So yeah, I guess, I mean, Smriti Mundhra has a great experience with documentaries. Indian matchmaking is a hit after hit, season after season. But yeah, she really brings that kind of touch back to the screen with the romantics. And I hope you watch the romantics, and please reach out to me and tell me what you thought about it, whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it. Always open for discussion. I am on Instagram and Twitter. That's where you can find me. But yeah, finally, do I like it? I love it. I am the romantics, actually, that they're talking about, and I am in love with cinema. And that was all for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Do I Like It is a Quint production, executive produced by Ritu Kapoor and Shelly Walia, hosted by me, Pratikshya Mishra, produced and edited by Anjali Palod, with music from Netflix and BMG Production. See you next time.
You were listening to the Quint's podcast.